A'udhu billahi minash shaitanir rajeem. Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. So this is a video about things my father did. So there's a series of videos I'm creating. Today particularly, I wrote a document about 2 years ago in which I was kind of advocating for myself in the Muslim community that I grew up in the Pakistani community that I had grown up in. So I'd approached a doctor in that community whose kids I went to college with and whose sons also went to like a parallel Catholic high school as me. So there was like, and he was the real reason I went to him in the community was that if there was anyone with any sense of real religion, it might have been him. And I didn't know him personally well enough to know what his attitudes were. So it was like the rest of the community that I knew really well, I knew they were like a bunch of hypocrites and there was no reason to approach them. But this one person had like for years kind of held out that he might be someone who I could approach and talk to, right? And so I ended up going to him, and through conversations, I ended up creating this document, which I wanted him to present to the broader community to kind of show like what my father had been doing to my life. And as a part of that, I proposed like A, B, C, and D, like four solutions to the problem. So not only did I present the problem, I presented solutions to the problems, like ways they could help, right? And so to tell them like to kind of like the option A, I'm gonna read you like the kind of the first bullet point, like numeral one of the document that is option A of the solutions, and it describes the situation my father had actually put me in, like my sociopathic father, through his manipulations, through his betrayal of context, he had put me in this particular situation. And since this is from 2 years ago, it's like I wrote it, and one of the reasons I wrote it was so I would have it written, you know. So this is from 2 years ago, and you kind of get a snapshot like of my life at that moment. And so the situation, so there's A, B, C, and D within the situation bullet point. So I'll read each one. It's currently I am in a financial bind. The business I propose in option B is already underway. I owe money to contractors who are illustrating the marketing and the website itself. So I was in the process of building a business on premises that my financial premises that my father had committed to, and I was now in a financial bind because they were already in the process, like through Elance or wherever, of creating marketing for me, creating imagery for me, creating art and different things that I needed for the marketing and the website. So second, I said I made a commitment to these contractors based upon a promise made to me by my father. Okay, so there's a promise that he had made to me. There was a verbal contract between him and me, based upon which I had initiated the project and these relationship with these contractors. And then I said it took time and effort to find the right contractors. Disrupting my relationship with them might be terminal to the project, even if I find alternative sources of investment. So basically on Elance, it's really hard to find, like, depending on what you're doing, it's hard to find, especially if you don't have a lot of money. It's hard to find people who are really well suited. They're doing exactly what you need them to do. They're like capable of doing the very specific thing. If you're like me, you have a clear vision and you want that vision enacted, right? And you need someone to do a particular thing, like there's a certain type of animation or illustration that I want for this marketing, and I don't want someone who's going to like take kind of like my seeds and make it their own. I know what they want, I just need a hand to draw it, basically, you know. And so it's really hard to find that right person, especially under the amount of money that you have. Like if there's a money constraint, it's difficult to that Venn diagram of finding people who, you know, can do what you need them to do and are still fairly affordable. And it takes time and effort. It took months upon months. It took like 4 or 5 months to find the right set of people. So the next one is, and if they don't come through, then I don't have, like, it's not like I can just fly to Belarus or some other place or like the Philippines to get other people to do the same thing. If I lose the right people on Elance, that's my only source for the right people. And once I lose that relationship, it's gone and there's no other options. So it might be terminal to the project, right? Okay. D is A, B, and C are demonstrative of my father's pattern of behavior and its consequences to me over the last 10 years. So basically, I kind of in A, B, and C, I outlined those kind of like the disruption to a process of enacting a business in this specific case. And then I made the comment that this is basically demonstrative of the pattern of behavior that has resulted in me being 30 at the time and still kind of dependent on my dad, right? Like financially speaking. So I made like the induction or whatever, the generalization from that. So that kind of show you how it is like to be in a business partnership or a business relationship with someone who is a sociopath. There is the element where they'll seduce you into it to keep control repeatedly, repeatedly, repeatedly. But while you're in a particular business context, foregoing the meta pattern of you repeatedly finding yourself in that type of context, a new one all the time, every few years, like zooming out of that, just looking at a particular instance, what it's like to be in a business partnership with a sociopath where one of the persons is like the banker and the investor and one person is like the entrepreneur. When the banker person is like a sociopath, they don't have any intention of actually investing. They're just giving you little bits of money here and there, so you'll kind of get invested enough to like where your energy will get involved with the project, and then they'll stop and they'll have 2 years of control because now you're invested, and now human beings need to get going at something, and once you get going and then they disrupt it, then it takes a while for you to reset and realize what's happening again. And so, anyways, so I'm just sharing with you what it's like to be in a business context or with a sociopath, or what it was like for me to be in a business context with my father. Talk to you soon. Bye.